What were the greatest idea that inspired me in the time after the cartoon crisis, and perhaps through all out of my youth and grown-up life? And maybe it also are common values that inspire a lot of people around the world, um, or maybe it is just for some special people or some type of persons who get inspired by these kind of ideas. I have, to say it, met people who couldn't relate to the things I was inspired by. I remember a guy told me, uh, you are very much fascinated by books, for instance. And so this guy is in a total different way of life. Another person has once also told me, you think too much. And well, I don't know if we can think too much, but we can definitely think too little. And as they said in that joke, that many people already died after the age of 20 because they are living, but they are not using their vitality and mind. Everything has stopped for them. And I remember also one person telling me that you are an idealist, or you are too sensitive to be in this world. And I remember also someone in different conversations. Sometimes it's friends, and other times it's just people you meet or text you or write to you. And that's a very, very learning process. You get inspired also by people who are saying it like to be mean. I remember one guy when I was once giving a television interview in Copenhagen, and he was cycling by with his tattoos and leather jacket. He belonged to some kind of, he was going to his bodega or bar, and you could see the shape of him was not really well functioning. But anyhow, it was one of these Danish broad guys who cycled through and then stopped, where just in the moment when the television were getting ready to run with an interview. There is a lot of energy in that guy, isn't there? And then he just cycled on. And I remember one time I was sitting in the car with, I had just visited Abdul Wahid Pedersen, the Danish converted in Copenhagen, in Blågårdsgade. He has that shop there with selling books and helping people with aid. I don't know how much it is a shop and how much it is real voluntary work. I haven't digged into that, but I was visiting him at that time during the crisis, and I remember one guy cycling by with a long beard, and he looked very hippie-like. He stopped and he pointed his finger to the window of the car. The other guy I had with me in that car was, if I remember correctly, was that guy from Odense, Bashar. He was a Syrian. And they laughed, they could see. And I looked at that guy back, I did nothing. He just stood there, pointing his finger at the car for many, many long seconds. And so you meet all kind of people where you get rejected or feel welcomed. And everything is a process of learning. And you take it with you. And if you're lucky to live through it and live long enough, then you can go back and look at all that and see how it affected you. So back to the basic topic, what is it? What are the ideas that I found so profound and important that had affected me? What are the most beautiful and strongest ideas in my life? This is what I really, really enjoy talking about, and I would like to say something about. And I haven't done yet. I'm just babbling on about some meetings with people, but they can be funny, and they can also like sometimes help you get your feet on the ground. And mentioning that, I was once with two friends, priests, whom I had conversations with and dialogues. And then we went to visit the very beautiful town of Viborg. And one time I'm gonna make a video from that city, from the inner city. It's so beautiful, so calming, and it's like taken out of history. It's the inner town of Viborg is so beautiful. And we were passing by the garden of the bishop. We were just outside in that big garden, and we passed by there, and on the wall were some kind of electric wires dug into the earth. And then a small sign on it, very old sign, wrote, in Danish, jordforbindelse. It means earth connection. And I pointed at that. I told my two friends there, I said, yeah, that's what's needed, a lot of earth connection. And so maybe these people are actually right, that when you get too fluffy and you get too idealist and you get all self-important in being a hero and being, doing big things. And that's why some people, like I think Charles Bukowski, said the world would be a lot better if half of it who wants to change it stop doing that or something like that. Like if half of the people could stop feeling so self-important, they are the ones destroying it, because it's always them that leads the war and the fights and get everything. I do not totally agree on that opinion, because I think without heroes and people who are willing to from time to time look to the skies and find some ideals and get us out of the mud, I think we will be worse off. We will lose something. It's part of us. So it's about not being reactive to one side or another. Anyhow, some of the big ideas that inspired me, and still does, and I've been looking at that after the cartoon crisis and many years later, on this journey of mine, looking into myself and my thoughts and my identity. I think I've been deeply and profound hit and maybe affected by the idea of the hero, the man or the woman who, despite odds, dark sides, evil planning of others, can get through and get to change things or help people or make the world better. And maybe that's because I've been watching this series since I was a kid with my mom, Knight Rider and Makepeace, Dempsey and Makepeace, and what kind of other series. I've been reading Batman in my youth as a black and white comic, and of course the Superman, but mostly the Batman affected me. And maybe that's why I'm affected by the picture of the hero, and I found it later also in philosophy. The idea in Romanticism of the hero, of the great personality of the person who can lead the change in history. I found it in religion, in the religious founders and figures of each religion. They are in many shapes also kind of heroes to their own people and the people who follows and believe in them and see it as the way out of misery. And there are the ordinary heroes that we sometimes oversee, as they say, the X mark for the unknown soldier who have been fighting and doing things then. And the movies has depicted that very beautifully in sometimes romanticized way. That's the part of Hollywood movies I've liked most, depicting a kind of a story where the hero gets through all the evil and all the bad things and despite all odds finds his or her way through. And I can mention really many of these types. So the idea of the hero has really profoundly hit me very hard. And later, and with age, maybe I've come to kill that hero, or trying to kill that hero, and trying to get rid of that ego that is in it. Because actually, if you want to be the hero, be it by changing yourself and not always running around changing everyone else and trying to give a message to other people and put yourself in a place of importance. Can you do that? Can you take yourself out of every importance you have in your life and around you and just be the guy who nobody notices, or just be the ordinary person? Can you change that? Or is it like you have in the samurai traditions of, if you lose the battle, you kill yourself because you lost, the hero lost, and there's no way back. It's a dishonor. And I've been through that. I've been through the dishonor of losing and being abandoned and being distorted in the face of me and the image of me being distorted and being let down and alone. Anyhow, I felt I was a loser and I lost the biggest battle of my life in that cartoon crisis. And so the way I was going to go through with that is to fight back and is to try to come back at something. and maybe let your hatred or the honorable side of you try to do one last effort of gaining ground. But somehow I just went away from that. And with time, it had become non important at all and not part of what I want in my life at all. I want to be another kind of hero and another kind of person. And that was the long journey. And that's how you kill the hero without killing your good virtues and good side of you. It's not about becoming evil or coward or not wanting to make a change. And it's also not about jumping fence and going to the other side, suddenly being the hero for their side. That's what I try to avoid, even though it's difficult, because when you jump fence and you go and say, well, I wasn't among heroes, let me be a hero for you here, these new people won't really take you in, and they won't, like you had it with the Muslims and the Danes, as I'm talking about in the Christian, in the cartoon context. But it can be in many other contexts in life, that you jump fence and you go fighting for the other side. It has happened, and some has done it, and some has got away with it or got believed or something. But I'm just shifting some kind of values, but still the same. I'm trying to make myself important, and so maybe the realization of we are not that important, and maybe what we are doing is hurting more than being of good, and so to try to restrain yourself and that self-importance and going out doing changes as a hero. Maybe that's what's needed, and maybe you can be a hero in small things, like doing really good things without anybody seeing you or noticing you. It can be something very trivial, helping someone or carrying bags for an old lady, maybe seeing something that has fallen and you raise it up and put it in place. That's a kind of heroic act because nobody has seen you doing it, and you're not gonna gain by it, and maybe you stand tall in a place where other people hasn't the courage to do so, but in many ways you can just be the hero in everyday life. And maybe that's the change I try to go through and shift my attention to go away from that romanticized picture of the big hero or this great hero who is supported, and to go back. So I wanted to win, of course, and be the hero, but maybe I was trying to find it in a new way, and not that ideological side of it. So one of the great ideas I really loved and liked is the idea of the hero and all that comes with it. The history is filled with it. History books and novels and stories, they all tell us about it. And I know there is an anti-hero movement for the time being, and it has been in culture and literature as well, in many stories, to show us the opposite side, the antagonist, and as show their heroic face in a way, or their crazy face, and make it acceptable. But basically we like the idea of the hero because we have to overcome so much to do it, and it can end in tragedy, as mostly it does, and it has been told and told again and again in the Greek mythology, and later in the Roman stories about heroic acts, and we got it in the Christian and Muslim and Jewish world, and we have it in the East. It's all over. So the idea of the hero is very profound and deep, and there are also books written on that issue. The second big idea that really affected me in my life and really made a profound change in my life is the notion that we are passing by this earth and there is more to come. It's a journey, and this journey doesn't end with you leaving here. The idea of the egg, or what can you say, the womb, that you were inside something and then you came out and you got into inside something else, like you were inside the cell were in your dad's body, and before that it was a kind of a DNA string or hidden somewhere, and then you came to be in your mother's womb, and from that womb it was a world, and you got out to this world, and so from this world you're gonna get out to a stronger development and another type of world. You just don't know it. As much as you know how this world looked like from your mother's womb, we don't even remember how we were there. and how it was. We can only know it by flashbacks, by looking, not even flashbacks, it's just by retrospective, looking at how we can see other babies are born and how they have this embryotic stage in the mother's womb, and what science tells us about it, and all this scanning of kids and how they move, and then we can look back, oh, I was like that and I was inside there, and maybe I noticed some things, but I couldn't understand a bit about this world before I came into it. And when I came into it, I was crying, and one day I'll be leaving it and somebody else will be crying. So how will I be? And where will I be? And that's a big thing that has occupied people, philosophers and ordinary people as well. And cheers, they would say, go on living and don't think about it, because you won't find an answer. And that's the easy, short way. Just go on living and forget all about trying to dig into it, because you have no tools and no meaning of any value to build it on. But just the idea and the notion that we are on a journey and we are here for some time, short or long, we don't even know why. It's like that. A selection of nature, a selection of angels, some devils, I don't know, whatever ideas people are carrying around from religion and from philosophical thoughts. It all goes back to the same notion that we are here for a short time and we're going to move on. And I love that idea. And so the overbuilding of this idea is even more profound to me and very much valuable. It's that it's never in vain. There is a meaning behind it, even though we cannot see it. So the journey in itself is meaningful, and the shift and change will be meaningful as well. And there will be a new place and a new way, and it's not all lost, because if there is something that really hits us human, it's the very, very deep feeling of meaning in ourselves. Whatever we do, and whenever we go study or work or enjoy something, we just feel it fills all our senses, and we have a feeling of meaning in it, and we feel meaningful so deep that we just can't get rid of that notion that we are very valuable and special and meaningful, and things are not in vain and never lost, and history will never forget, and all that we say. It's of course feelings and emotions. We want it that way, and wanting things to be that way doesn't make it that way. I know that. And we have still not gotten any proof of anyone sending us messages from other side or new place. But how would you send a message to the kid to the embryotic stage of a kid, or the cells, the sperm cells in the man's testicles? How would you send a message to those living creatures down there in their own kind of reality? Maybe it's not easy, and you can't. They won't understand it, they won't receive it, they won't be able to be in contact with it. That's a good argument. It's not a proof. But the profound meaning makes me always like the idea of getting on to a new stage of life where it's actually meaningful. So whatever I do in my life, and however I do it, and my sacrifices or my pain and suffering or everything I go through will lead me to some kind of growth and compensation. So growth and compensation gives the meaning of whatever we get through in this life. And if you have a meaning with why you live, and you can carry it into another stage, that makes it worthwhile, and you can have everything to live for. And that's the basic message in many, in especially the monotheistic religions. The salvation, both in this life and somehow when you are resurrected, or your spirit goes on from here, leaving the body, earth to earth, dust to dust, and the soul goes back to its owner, or maybe gets into a new kind of reality. So the hero and the meaning of life as a stage, as a journey, and there is compensation and growth in it, both here and on the other side, are two very profound ideas in my life. The third one I love really much, and that's from my maybe Puritanian and religious background, but I think any human can have it in his heart and feelings, and I have seen it in books that has nothing to do with religion. I think it's a human thing. That's to be sometimes impulsive and naive and childish in your way of being, just trusting something and having this momentarily childish view of life as something beautiful and cherishful, other people as enjoyable and a good company. And so having this childish like way of looking at things, you're curious more than judging, and you are happy with how life is and you cherish it and like it, is also a notion that's very profound in my life. And I think it has made me like find my way through. And I think that's maybe the hidden test behind everything. If there is a kind of a test, maybe we put ourselves through it. But I think that's how we find intensity and we taste the good meaning of everything. And I found it in all religions, but especially in the figure of Christ and Yeshua, as they say in the Arabic and Hebrew societies. It's like the ultimate choice of meeting evil with no reaction and with a prayer of salvation and may God forgive you. That needs a lot, and that needs a childish heart, and that's why maybe it's also said from the same source that only those of you who have the childish heart will get into the holy place or the paradise or the place of God. And that means it's important, and we can have it with us without the religion. Every person, I've seen people who are humanists who like this idea of this naive ongoing girl or boy. We see it in the cartoon, and we see it in novels and stories. We've been reading it since we were kids in school, that these some kind of naive, curious persons who have no hatred or evil, Alice in Wonderland and all that, just going around, Jim from the Treasure Island. What can I say? Many stories. Huckleberry Finn. I keep going on, but I just want to give examples that all these stories have given us the notion, without religion again, that to cherish life and to just be curious and good-hearted and don't want any evil. That's a deeply profound part of us. And I know it's very distorted in these times, and that many people believe we are deeply evil as in nature, and this good-heartedness is just a fake illusion, and it's just because we can find interest in it. It's not truly part of us. I believe we are in a dualistic state of evil and good, and we can go beyond it as well, beyond good and evil, again, non-dualistic. But we have this very profound way of being, but we get hurt and we suffer and we learn and we get experience from the trust we put in people first time, and they hurt us and they reacted badly, or maybe the naive way we have been going around meeting people, and that can change us and put us in a state of hatred that we didn't really want, and we can become very bitter and evil-hearted people. We can, and I've been there. I've been in places in my life, in my heart and soul. I really wish for some people to be punished for what I see is evil doing, hurting me, getting me out of my work, and saying bad things about me, and trying to destroy my reputation, whatever. All that made me also sometimes want to react in some kind of punishment to these people and the evil they have in their hearts and minds, and the way they treat me. And that's exactly what we can think about the people who persecuted Jesus or followed Muhammad or went after Moses and so on. Or we can think about cultures and nations that has attacked others and persecuted them and held them down. That evil must be fought. and that's very natural, and that changes us. And when we start getting into a new relation, sometimes with another person, like having a new friend, if you lose the first one because it wasn't true and the friend used us or forgot us, and or a love story of a kind, it even happens in families, then you don't trust again, not so easily, and you keep to those who hasn't hurt you yet, but thinking maybe it will happen, maybe I'm just a naive person who go about and think the world is a good place, but it isn't. And so aware of the world as a place where evil unfolds and people follow their interest and can be very, very cynical. You can be on the street and nobody will care for you. And I know if I had been there, and if God hadn't protected me, and I believe in that protection, but if I have been on the street and people just walking by, very, very few will notice me or care for me, and they will think that's a loser. What happened to him? What has he done in his life? God, what have you put him through? He must be so evil that he's just fallen. But it's not like that. Most of the time it's just a point of view. It's just a way of seeing the world from its darker sides, that people don't care. And no one cares, as some people say. No one cares, and so care for yourself, and the egoism will grow from that. But I deeply believe, despite all that, and I know the world, especially in politics, social arrangements, and economics, can be led by these cynical considerations. Even people who speak values and talk about ideal ideas, they can be the worst when they are in politics. They use people and throw them out, and if you are of no use, they won't look at you. You won't be looked at because you're a human who could have been good or have a relation. You will be thrown out. There is no place for you, so you have to fight for your place and maybe kill something on your way and step on someone and hurt someone. And if you refuse to do that, you'll go more and more through difficult times, because people will say, oh, that's a naive guy, we can't have him in our club, he will oppose all the time. That's a naive woman. It's not fun having her along because we want to sit and talk about everyone else. And so on and so on. And so keep attaching to that child in yourself and the naive look on life, without being naive in that stupid way of just trusting anyone, and by protecting yourself and helping the security of your life, but still keep that impulse of being that's what I liked. Keep the impulse of being good-hearted, curious, meeting new people as if they were a blank slate, not comparing them and so on. That's not easy, because once you're hurt twice, thrice, you lose that faith and you become more and more aware that something in you is reacting and holding back, and you're not opening up the same way, and you change over time. But what you can keep is that childish curiosity and the good-heartedness, even if you find new people who you think are gonna hurt you or not be so good. Keep that look that humans are there and they are also suffering, and if you can do a difference, that's good. And at the same time, maybe if you can overcome, try to forgive those who have hurt you or wanted to hurt you badly. That's not easy. I'm still struggling with it. This is one of the most hard part of us, and people are maybe struggling with me, forgiving me for what they think I've done of evil. And so there we go, the bloodbath, burying each other, suppressing each other, because evil fighting evil, bad fighting bad, and that's just not good. So the hero, the journey, the meaning with it as a place of development, growth, and compensation, and your naive, curious way in a childish heart, I think that makes you stay good and happy. And in many ways, gives you a little paradise in yourself and among you and among people, wherever you are. You can be persecuted, you can have hard times, you can be poor, you can be on the street. But looking at life through these things, I think it will give you some very, very special qualities. That's what I believe, and that's what I think, and that's what I've been following. And it's a bet, and I'm betting on this way of life because not many are doing it, and it's hard to do it. And maybe that's the path. You have to find the path, as Lao Tzu has said, and that's what all people meditating and going to prayers are trying to do, clearing themselves and their hearts from anything that can distort that kind of purity. And maybe people are thinking I'm talking about being totally pure-hearted angel. We are not, and we cannot. We are humans. Sides of us are not that strong and not that clear. We cannot live in it anyway. And as I said some other places in my recordings, if we face challenges on earth, we all become the thief, the cynical, maybe the fighter, the persecutor, and so on. So I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to protect myself if I get through these conditions. But at least you can uphold these values, and that's what I'm trying. I like them, and I found them very profound in my life, and I like keeping to them and perhaps dying with them in a way with a smile.